we're talking with Agustin Lira and Patricia Solarzano, important figures in, well, I'd say, civil rights movement based in Fresno, California, using the wonderful tools of music and theater over many years. And I'd just like to touch base and find out what you currently are working on and anything else you want to talk about.
Well, right now we're working on a project that we started with actually with after the pandemic started in spring of 2020, I believe, was it right, of 2020. Um, we were not able to teach at the community center where we teach here in Fresno, so we had to figure out a way to do it on Zoom. And the project that we started was one in which Agustin uh, and I were asking the students to uh, to write about something that uh, disparities here in Fresno, what they felt would make their lives in the community better, and could they identify what they felt were problems that are keeping uh, poor people down. So at that time, um, the pandemic broke out. What we did was, I felt that it was important after not seeing very many messages or reaching out to the Spanish speaking community in Fresno, which is largely more than half of the population here is Latino, Latin American, Mexican, indigenous Mexican people who are in the fields, which that's where our students come from. So I just felt really surprised that none of the main media stations of Univision and Telemundo, that no one was really reaching out to tell our community at that time, even about the masks, wearing the masks. So I started writing. Each student did a different thing. One did something about pesticides, another one about disparities in school. A little girl about racism, and so I started doing it about COVID, and then we had to work in our homes through Zoom. So that is the project to bring you up to date right now. That's what we have been working on. Agustin is the person who finished the ideas that I had. Um, and I started out with an idea of a very small crew because we weren't able to meet anymore. And so we started working with people that we had already trained in past seasons of teatro, of theater. So Agustin finished the story, and we
Well,
started working on it.
well, before then, though, I thought that it was very important to get our students to to understand or realize uh, how Fresno had been originally set up. So we sent all the participants to go to research that end of it to find out that Fresno had been partitioned off, that the poor people had been sent to one side of Fresno and the other people had been kept on the other side.
What we're doing right now, we have brought the project is complete. We have the whole cast. We've been practicing again, but in this past year, it has been very difficult because out of three videographers, two of them got COVID,
Oh,
and we couldn't proceed. And the third one, we just weren't able to get him from CMAC because he wanted us, he needed to have a date right away, and I couldn't do it. And by the time I asked him, he was all booked up. And then, and the other thing is, they give you an estimate, and I do believe I know how taxing it is to edit footage. I know it's even what 3-4 times as long as actually shooting it. So the price kept going up. The thing is, it was financially, we didn't have the funds to just hire a company and pay them $20,000 or something to film a 30-minute play. So at this time,
hang on a second.
uh-huh.
Let me go back to also the teaching of our students. They were then they used a computer to figure out the disparities. Then they came back with their own ideas, which was the whole that was the whole idea of it was for them to go and research this and come back and to see that those disparities uh, don't exist on the north side of town, and but they do exist on this side of town. It's something that we need to deal with. And but those disparities don't have to be like that. They don't have to stay like that. If community action can be taken, and that's the whole idea was to teach people that there isn't an ogre that's too big to bring down. You know, that's one of the things that I learned in Delano was that it doesn't matter who the culprits are, that they can be brought down with time and with organizing and so forth. And so that's a part of the whole situation was to educate our students about the realities and where they live and how they can defend themselves and their families.
And also one of the things that we're not taught in school is how researching is looking for the answer. You know, a lot of people just say, "Well, I don't know. It's somewhere over there. It's we really don't know what the answer is." And now with the internet, which I was very suspicious of at first, but I think it's very important for students, everybody. If you have a question, you can go to the internet. You can Google something, and that'll take you. That'll give you different resources. And then there's the library, and so that's part of the training is to instill this. You must research things, before you do. Before it'll give you ideas. It'll give you directions, of what to
The
do.
other thing, I agree so much. I just love it. It's all right up there. And if it isn't up there, you have the tools. We all can have the tools to put it up there, and make new resources that are the kinds of things we wanted to find.
That's true. Hmm.
So going back to the classroom type of situation, the students came back with their ideas. We started building short skits, and by short skits I mean very short. And then the pandemic hit hard, and we started finding out that farm workers were not being paid attention to, and that they were dying actually by the numbers. They're dying like flies even today. And there wasn't anybody who really cared about that. There wasn't anybody going out there. The farm workers were not really receiving the messages that were being put out on the television and so forth, because they don't have that kind of time. They're out there working in the fields, so they miss a lot of this stuff. And we knew, especially because I grew up in those kind of situations, what happens in the fields. And so Patricia, we took ideas from Patricia, began to write some things, and so did the other participants. And we needed to have something that was centered and that would show what the problems were. What which better way to do it than to show a play that where a family was involved in fighting for their lives, that they had been invaded by COVID, and eventually that was the idea. But it was all done through Zoom. We were no longer able to meet at that time. And now it seems that we're going to have the same difficulties because with these new variants, they've spread really quickly. And some of our students they're not vaccinated yet, and neither are their parents. And for different reasons, beginning with mistrust and beginning with the kind of treatment, that the workers get around here. And a lot of it is ignorance too, not knowing, not being there, not hearing the information also. So we set about to write a play that would show those disparities.
Is there a finished product that was uh, presented to the public or documented for the internet or something?
What we were able to do was to do an audio version of it for Radio Bilingüe, and we sent it out to different outlets, including online podcast programs of people who are reaching out to the community, doing cultural programs, community-based programs. So that is out there, and right now we're preparing to actually film it. So it was different to act it out and do it on radio than it is to actually be on a little stage or whatever. And it is a play. So now that we've started practicing, which we're practicing at the Fresno Center for Nonviolence, by the way, thanks to them, because all the other places are closed. So, and we practice with our masks on right now. Um, but it's very different, you know, for Agustin is directing us and he says, no, come over here to this side of the stage, which is really impossible to do almost with Zoom or with people who have never done it theater before. So that's what we're getting ready to film it. And the person who's going to work with us, his name is Armando Valdez, and he has a center real close by that's called the Community Center for Arts and Technology. So they're going to be filming it for us. And I have to say also that a person who really helped us with helped me and Augustine with the information was Dr. Lenny Reeves. Lenny was sending us information about what was happening right here in Fresno County. So and we've been trying to stay informed because we want to be this for the play to be right, you know, to be accurate. But one thing that I see now is that the usage of masks, I don't think is going to go away. And it's really one of the cheapest, safest. If you don't have the vaccine, it's one of the ways that you can save your life, you know, and the lives of other people around you is by the use of masks.